You do. I'm still waiting for it to catch up to you. There you go. Let's see if I can hear you. Let's see. Right now, I hear a lot of silence. Yeah, I don't hear you. Did you do the thing where you turn it on in OBS? Can you reselect it like you did before? Is it Source Connect? This is the Source Connect thing where it grabbed it, maybe? Yeah, let's try it.
Yet. Oh, wait, there's the meter. That's so stupid. Ironically, I don't think anyone can hear me yet.
I hear you. Yes, we can.
Wait, you can hear me? I am not connected to Source Connect. I wonder what you're hearing me through. I guess you can hear the focus right. Got it. Okay, well, that's good. Eventually, Andrew and I will be able to hear each other. Huh? Finally, Source Connect has. There we go. This part takes forever. Yay, I hear you now. Excellent.
Yep. Yep. I can still hear you. Yep.
Excellent.
All right.
All right. Excellent.
Hooray!
Great. Well, so glad. So glad that this is as smooth as always. Like butter.
Hands were waved. Sacrifices were made.
Oh my god. Why is it hard?
Gods are praised. Yeah. Okay.
I'm so whiny.
All right, so we're picking it up after the Mammering Lobster line. They can hear both of us. We are on fire.
Yep. Hang on. I need to close that part so that my bandwidth is not being chewed up. And then I'm going to open it over here on my phone so that I can see you all without making my computer choke. Okay. Now...
Page 279 near the bottom after the Mammering Lobster line, starting with he hung up on her.
Okay. Yep.
Somewhere near there.
I'm there.
This is Bob.
Bob, may I speak to Holden?
No.
Look, you mammering lobster. I need to talk to Holden right now.
He hung up on her. Fury painted everything red. She almost called back, but winning would take too long under these circumstances. She looked at the lock and the door and the window into the service corridor beyond. Shal was somewhere back there. Gimlet was upstairs. Excuse me.
Let's go back and get Fury painted everything bright red.
Bright red.
Left out the bright.
Okay.
Just that line. Here we go.
Mm-hmm. He hung up on her.
Fury painted everything bright red.
Let me just do a little of this.
Paul, I'm glad to know that there's a pub called Shenanigans in Toronto. If it was called O Shenanigans, then it would have the bad accents and decor. I was particularly proud of that name, actually, O Shenanigans, because... excuse me while I call my dad and tell him to stop watching whatever is screaming.
Or put on his headphones.
Yeah. I feel like I should put this on speaker at some point, but you can probably hear it. Actually, it's loud enough through the microphone.
We can hear it.
Okay, thanks,
Dad.
Yep. Bye. He knew why I was calling. He knew what he'd done.
I'm sure he did. All right, so let's take it after Shao was somewhere back there. So Gimlet was upstairs. Here we go.
Was somewhere back there.
Gimlet was upstairs. Maybe. But she knew for certain her spouse had gone this way. Stabbing the floor with her cane, she stalked out of the ice cream shop and turned to her left, to the gift shop that Annie had gone to. Bright vacation wear filled it, with artful faux stains in hot beet pink and grass green. Tesla browsed as quickly as she could, grabbing a battery recharger and looking for anything else useful. And why the hell hadn't Fontaine picked up yet? And why was Gimlet on the lunar level? Do you hear a low rumbling?
Oh, let's see. I do now. It's a train.
Yeah, it's a train.
Or it's the dryer.
It is a train.
Or possibly the
we have a new dryer.
Oh, okay, great. Okay.
Significantly less quiet, or more quiet. Although it does sing a happy, cheerful song, reminiscent of a toilet on a lunar level. It's the kind of song where it starts singing and you're like, oh, it's singing a song. Huh, it's still singing. Oh, wow. Wow, it's still going.
Trying to make sure you really heard that it was done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I guess I should take Q&A while we're waiting on this train to
So-
pass, because this one is... This one is long, and
Yeah.
apparently it had...
It always gets much softer after the engines go by, though.
Yeah. Rachel, the idea that the sound is my house's empty stomach is mildly alarming. All right.
Who is it eating? All right. After a while,
Huh.
has it? Why the hell hadn't Fontaine picked up yet, or are you still here?
Okay. I still hear it, but
Let's see. Let me listen to another place. One sec. Yeah, I guess I still hear it too. Sorry.
it's okay.
Paul
I'm
Keelan
pulling
says
my-
if it's a Samsung, the song is Schubert's The Trout.
Oh, now I want to go look and see what the song is. I don't... Huh, this almost sounds like an air conditioning thing, but...
Yeah, it doesn't sound like the train as much anymore to me. Yeah, I could do a recapture and see if that deals with it. Hold on.
Okay.
Man, I think it'll be okay. I think it'll be
Okay.
okay. They'll tell me if it seems like it's getting super much louder. The train's gone, right, at this point,
Ye-
that you can tell.
yeah, mostly.
All right, let's take it after why in the hell hadn't Fontaine picked up yet, right after yet. So starting with and
Okay.
why was Gimlet on the lunar level? Here we go.
Okay.
Hadn't Fontaine picked up yet?
And why was Gimlet on the lunar level? Or had she been somewhere else and her bark had just sounded like it was the lunar level because Tesla was in an elevator and... Glasses repair kit. That was useful. She snatched it and headed to the checkout.
Or had she been somewhere else and her bark had just sounded like it was on the lunar level? We missed
Okay.
the on, I think. Let's just do it from where had she been.
Gimlet on the lunar level.
Or had she been somewhere else and her bark had just sounded like it was on the lunar level because Gimlet was on the elevator. Tesla was on the elevator.
Let's see. I think I got this. Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
So after glasses repair kit, after that was useful.
Okay.
That was useful.
She snatched it and headed to the checkout, grabbing a pack of chewing gum on her way. Her hands were shaking as she waved her wrist fob over the scanner and accepted the charges. She ripped the battery pack out of its packaging and smiled at the attendant. You don't mind throwing that away for me, do you? She tucked the battery pack under her arm, opened the gum, and pulled her courtesy mask away so she could put a stick in her mouth. Rolling the foil wrapper between her fingers, she stalked back to the Snow Queen. The servers were helping a bevy of teenagers, and Tesla blessed them for their tumult. She went around the end of the counter and carefully lowered herself to kneel in front of the lock. Sweat poured down her back. Her chest was tight. For safety, she propped her handheld so that it could work as a sort of rear-view mirror and record the scene behind her. She fished the screwdriver out from the...
Fish out. Yep. check one thing.
And Mute Dragon, your question about no heating or air conditioning while recording is largely correct, with some variants. Basically, in the room itself, you can't have the sound of either. So, like when I recorded, like this room, because my grandfather built this house in the 40s and 50s. This room has no heating or air conditioning naturally. But when I worked at when I go to the Brilliance Audio Studios, the ventilation system is set up to be very, very quiet. And at Andrews, when we recorded, he would have to turn off the AC during the session and turn it on during breaks, because it did make a rumbling sound. So
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
I feel like we've talked about this before. Is tumult also correct? Is it one of these things that just depends on where you...
Oh.
So I've always heard it. Merriam-Webster says tumult is the first one, but it says also T upside down E, and my whatchamacallits are not. Is that tum? Is that ta?
Tum. That's tumult.
Okay, so that's fine. It's just an alternative.
Okay, great.
Okay. After and record the scene behind her, please.
Okay.
You see it?
I do.
I do not yet.
Third paragraph.
Here we
from
go.
the bottom.
Now I do. Thank you.
Record the scene behind her.
She fished out the screwdriver from the glasses repair kit and began to dismantle the key fob reader. When she had been a teenager, she'd been, charitably, a handful, and her father had sent her to boarding school. During the course of her year and a half there, she had learned.
Here we go. I only save bloopers if the client I'm working with is interested in saving them. To your question, Alessandra. Okay. And
I am always
most
interested.
of the time. Well, yeah, most of the time, that has not been something that other folks have been interested in.
No.
What you gonna do? Okay. So after boarding school, here we go.
Had sent her to boarding school.
During the course of her year and a half there, she had learned to hack every system the school had for containing troublesome youth. They thought they could keep her out with a key fob lock? Ha! She was a crane. She had the housing off the lock and had the first gum wrapper installed before any of the servers noticed her. Hey, excuse me. Hey, you have to stop. Tesla kept working. Feel free to call security. One way or another, she'd get backup. But my lawyer is on the phone, so think twice before anyone touches me. The second gum wrapper rolled between her fingers to become a makeshift wire, and her breath smelled.
We got to go back and get one quick thing. She had learned to hack every system that the school had.
Okay.
I'm going to fill that out. Yeah, just that sentence through troublesome youth.
Got it.
Here we go.
Had sent her to boarding school. In the course of her year and a half there, she had learned to hack every system that had sent her to boarding school.
Wasn't fast enough on the delete key. Sorry, here we go.
Had sent her to boarding school.
During the course of her year and a half there, she had learned... Why is she had learned hard?
Had sent her to boarding school.
During the course of her year and a half there, she had learned to hack every system that the school had for...
One sec.
I love it when you can fix things. question from Rafael. Do I prefer to record at home or in a more formal studio? I mean, recording at home is real nice because I can, there's no commute. And the bulk of the day, I don't actually, like Andrew and I, when I recorded at his place, we're always in separate rooms. So most of the time, it doesn't actually feel that different. But I prefer being in a studio because I actually like to see my engineer and socialize some. And I miss hanging out with Andrew.
Indeed.
So.
Okay, so let's see here. After anyone touches me.
Okay.
So it's starting with the second gum wrapper. Here we go.
Before anyone touches me.
Oh, sorry.
Top of the next page,
Yep,
fourth line
got
down.
it.
Here we
Sorry,
go.
it's just
Before anyone
I'm
touches
having
me.
I'm having some scrolling problems. Hang on.
I
Okay.
got you.
Before anyone touches me.
The second gum wrapper rolled between her fingers to become a makeshift wire, and her breath smelled amazing. She tied the wrapper in and reached for the battery pack as if she had never stopped being an engineer. The right kind of panic could be a useful focusing tool. Oh, for the love of St. Lawrence's gridiron.
Oh, for the love. Here we go.
Useful focusing tool.
Oh, for the love of St. Lawrence's gridiron. Fantine stopped talking, and in the HUD, her brows came together as she listened to Tesla's summary. She closed her eyes for a moment and then looked straight at the camera as if she could stare directly into Tesla's soul. Tesla, I know you, and I'm going to tell you right now that neither Shaul nor Gimlet are going to be served by you trying to chase a murderer down on your... there.
That neither
Did you
shall.
just-
Here we go.
Yes.
Going to tell you.
What's that? Did I capture it?
I-
Yes, I got all that through the... Here we go.
Going to tell you right now.
That neither...
Going to tell you right now.
That neither Shaul nor Gimlet are going to be served by you trying to chase a murderer down on your own. Not chase down a murderer. Chase a murderer down.
Let's see. After served. Here we go.
Okay.
Let me check my punch. It's better punch. Breaths. Great. Okay. Here we go.
Gimlet are going to be served.
By you trying to chase a murderer down on your own. I need you to stop. Don't go into the ice cream. Frozen farts on a stick. Do you have any idea how frustrating it is to give you advice 13 minutes to, hey, good to hear from you? As Tesla worked, she kept one eye on the handheld. In its view of the shop behind her, Chief Weiser came... Chief Weiser? Sure, why not?
After behind her. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
View of the shop behind her.
Chief Weiser jogged into view. So listen, Fantine, you're authorized to draw on my accounts as necessary to handle whatever damages I'm incurring. Her lawyer didn't hear her and kept talking. It's like watching a horror film. Don't go through the door. Don't go through the... Oh, thank the Virgin's left tit, it's locked. Listen, I need you to stand down and not try to get through the door. Weiser's face was blotchy red as he loomed in the handheld's field of view. He reached for her, slowing to a stop when he...
Slowing. After he reached for her. I viscerally dislike Bob.
He reached
Chief Weiser, rather.
He reached
Oh, yeah.
He reached for her.
Slowing to a stop when he saw himself on the screen and realized that she was recording. Hi, Chief Weiser. Did Bob give you my message?
I need you to stand up and move away from the door.
Tesla took the gum out of her mouth and stuck it over the ends of the wrappers to help it stay in place. It wouldn't last long, but she only needed it to work for a literal second. Will you let me through the door?
Negative, but I'm more than happy to assist you.
After negative, here we go.
Negative. But I'm more than happy to assist you in not going into a restricted area and will, in fact, escort you back to the safety of your cabin.
Great! The safest way for me to move about the ship is through the service corridors, so...
Your door and fans.
Huh. That feels like text is missing. Give me just a second to go look at the original.
Sure.
Oh, no. No, never mind. I see. It is correct. It was me doing a bad read. That's all.
Oh, okay. Where do you want to take it from?
Let me do her line again, which I think is fine. Actually, her line is probably fine.
Okay, the safest way. So we're doing your adoring fans, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Here we go.
So...
Your adoring fans.
He looked around with exaggerated interest.
Yeah, they're really swarming you.
Hat, courtesy mask. I had an assumed identity until your system... You know what? It doesn't matter. What matters is that Shal is on the other side of this door with someone that your own staff thinks might be involved in the murders.
What matters is that you're trying to dismantle my ship.
I find it fascinating that you are more interested in stopping me than you are in stopping the actual murderer. She picked up the battery pack.
My job is to maintain order on this ship. I need you to step away.
On her HUD, Fantine said, "Oh, good. You're leaving the ice cream shop. Thank God you're showing some sense. Now listen, I've got people working on finding out more about Ori's sloot makers. Surprising no one, that's a fake identity. He must have paid as much as you did for privacy. For privacy. Excuse me.
He must have paid. That's all right.
British.
That's a fake identity.
He must have paid as much as you did for privacy.
Step away from the door.
Chief Weiser loomed closer, casting a shadow across her workspace. Open it, and I will. She toggled the battery pack to wired charging, exposing a port on its side. With the screwdriver, she worked the end of one of the gum wrappers into the port. Subvocalizing, she replied to Fantine. Fantine understood about Ori. Oh, that's punctuation is all wrong for subvocal, if you're sending a subvocal thing. Sorry, let me just fix that. now I can't remember how they wanted me to mark italics. View all recent files. It's very exciting to get to see something other than you get brief hints about other things that I'm working on because I'm scrolling back to look for Macmillan reviewing edits in styled manuscripts. That's not the right one. Sorry. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. Oops. Was that the whole thing about how to do italics that I thought I... Weird. All right.
All right.
I will just mark it as italic.
Okay. I got to scroll back to where we stopped.
Did you just keep reading?
No, not the whole time. Just a paragraph or two.
Okay.
So we're starting with Wiser Snatched.
Okay.
Here we go.
Understood about Ori.
Wiser snatched the charger out of her hand.
Oh no, not on my ship.
Murders are fine, though, right? Tesla grabbed her handheld in one hand and her cane in the other. Tell me what you're doing besides stalling. How many more people are you willing to have die on your...
How many more? Here we go.
Doing besides stalling.
How many more people are you willing to have die on your watch,
That's enough.
He reached for her. She tapped her temple, reminding him that she had a subdermal. Don't you dare touch me. You've already beaten my spouse, and if you think that corporate is going to protect you, you are sorely mistaken. I'm not asking for anything complicated. I just want you to open the door because Shal is on the other side with someone that your own...
I'm not interested in the fictions you've spun.
She had to get him to let her through this door. Fantine could argue for her, but waiting the 13 minutes for each round trip of argument would take too long. Tesla, I don't like the collection of train noises that are happening in the background. The horn is very nice, though.
Yeah, I thought I heard that. We got to go back and get. Do you mean to add round trip?
No,
I mean, it
did
makes
not.
sense. Okay, but waiting the 13 minutes is where we pick it up.
Yeah.
Actually, we'll probably take it from But Fontaine because I think I heard the train noise right after that sentence.
Okay.
After these messages, we'll be right back. Let's see what I can hear.
I'm going to totally track down the lockpicking lawyer. Look, Paul, MacGyver was, and I am not ashamed to admit this, one of my favorite shows when it was on, the original. I had a huge crush on Richard Dean Anderson. And I say had past tense as if I would not completely go all fanish on him if I ever met him in person. Ooh, maybe I should write a role for him. Like someday. Ooh. Yeah, I in Glamour and Glass. Oh, I think the train's gone. Yeah, we're clear.
Yep, I think you're right. Okay. There we go. After through this door. Fantine could argue. Here we go.
To let her through this door.
Fantine could argue for her, but waiting the 13 minutes for each round of argument would take too long. Tesla, I don't like the collection of things you're buying. Tesla took off her courtesy mask. Swallowing bile, she pulled the hat off and did the best to fluff her hair. She had damn few tools, and Daddy had always said that sometimes your weaknesses were your best tools. She raised her handheld and took a selfie. It took 5 shots to get one where her dishevelment looked intentional. Weiser stood with his arms crossed over his chest.
Just like a...
If you finish that with a woman, I will end you. She glared at him over the handheld. Last chance to let me through.
No way.
Tesla shrugged. All right. She ostentatiously narrated each word as she keyed it in. Getting ice cream at the Snow Queen on the Martian level. Mislaid my battery charger. Anyone got a spare? ? He smirked in disbelief.
And this is supposed to
Soak it! Tesla Crane was just... Wait! One of the teenagers spun from the ice cream display. Holy shit, you're still here! I sure am. How are you doing? As a group, they abandoned the ice cream display. Weiser stepped back involuntarily as the teens swarmed toward her. They stopped in a slight arc as if there were a protective bubble surrounding her. On her HUD, Fantine covered her eyes with her hands. Tell me you're not trying to hack the lock. Why am I asking? Why am I not just drafting letters?
Why am I not just... But we gotta get a couple things. Hold on.
Okay.
Let's see here. Round. We got the round one, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Round, get around. Fantine is my favorite. I don't know why I just didn't write an entire novel with just her.
Fantine?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. She pulled the hat off and did her best to fluff her hair. I think she said did the best. Yeah,
Okay.
So swallowing bile through hair, please. Here we go.
Caught for courtesy mask.
Swallowing bile, she pulled the hat off and did her best to fluff her hair.
Great, one sec.
So in answer to the question about whether or not the narration of the word of the question mark should be in the text, that's one of the places that narrators actually do have a little bit of leeway when you're dealing with text stuff. Like I can't remember what it was that I narrated, but there was a bunch of texts going back and forth, and so and it would have things like question mark, exclamation point, question mark, exclamation point, question mark, question mark, question mark. and which is exactly how I mean, that was the way I read it, even though they were just because it captured what was on the page more with that particular character in that particular moment than just going, "What are you talking about?"
All right. So after why am I asking?
Okay.
Why am I not just drafting? Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I asking?
Why am I not just move?
Why am I asking?
Why am I not just drafting letters about the unnecessary emotional distress the ship is putting you in? One of the teens was clearly messaging a friend. My buddy has a charger. I'm telling her to come right now. Soak that. I've got one. The smallest of them swung their bag around.
The smallest? Here we go.
I've got one.
The smallest of them swung their bag around to the front and dug inside it. Here you go. I don't know what just happened with that accent, but let me pick one or the other.
Here you go. Okay,
Yeah.
Which one do you want to do?
Well,
Say here you go.
yeah.
Okay.
Front and dug inside it.
Here you go. Weiser snatched it out of the kid's hand.
Nice try.
You'll need to do paperwork about anything you confiscate, right? Tesla stepped over to stand in front of the kid whose battery charger Weiser had taken. Sorry about him. Want a selfie? The kid's eyes got huge. Seriously? Sure. She smiled at Chief Weiser. You want to get in on this? Because.
After this. So because.
You want to get in on this?
Because there's going to be a line later. He rolled his eyes at her, but behind him she saw someone do an about-face. Farther down the promenade, another passenger was jogging toward them, staring at their handheld. Tesla had once accidentally broadcast her location, and the crowd had materialized.
Tesla had once accidentally. Here we go.
Okay.
Staring at their handheld.
Tesla had once accidentally broadcast her location, and the crowd had materialized with alarming rapidity. These days, her social media was set to post a day later unless she did an active override. There were distinct problems to growing up in the public eye as the literal poster child for Crane Industries. There were problems with unwillingly saturating the public consciousness when you were the sole survivor of a dramatic disaster. And when you tried to redefine yourself by appearing on a dancing contest, Tesla had damn few places she could go and not be recognized, which usually sucked.
Excuse me, is...
One of the bajillion generic bald white passengers on the ship poked their head into the ice cream shop. They saw her.
Oh, hi. I have a charger for you.
You are the sweetest.
I'll take that.
Weiser pivoted toward the bald passenger and held out his hand, but faltered a little as he finally saw the growing crowd. It was still a small crowd, but just the fact that a crowd existed was causing other people to slow down and drift their way. Tesla had her back to the door and raised her handheld. Chief Weiser! When he looked at her reflexively, she snapped a picture of him holding 3 different chargers. Smile! Gimlet barked. Any fun that Tesla was having evaporated. That was somewhere outside the shop, and it was the delivery arrival bark, which meant that Gimlet felt threatened. She looked at Weiser. Tell me you heard my dog. He hadn't. And if it even...
He hadn't. Let's do he hadn't. Here we go.
Okay.
Tell me you heard my dog.
He hadn't. And even if he had, the line of his brows...
And even if he had, here we go.
Okay.
He hadn't.
And even if he had, the line of his brows said that he didn't care. Incandescent rage filled Tesla, and she pushed away from the door, then stopped. The troud... I don't know. What? I can't... answer that.
Here we go. The crowd. The crowd. Here we go.
Okay.
Then stopped.
The crowd had her utterly trapped. A person in stiletto sandals tottered around the corner.
Let's go one more time. Somehow the relationship to the mic changed on that point, or something sounds slightly
You know
different.
what? I was just thinking, I probably shouldn't do this. I had lifted my hair to the top of my head, just in case anyone is wondering how sensitive things are. The posture that I was in, for those of you watching, with my, like this, with my hair on top of my head and my arms up by the side of my face, is enough to change the sound of everything that's happening. Which I know.
Sorry.
Sometimes I can get away with it.
All right, so then we're going to start with the crowd had her utterly trapped. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Then stopped.
The crowd had her utterly trapped. A person in stiletto sandals tottered around the corner.
Oh, you're still here. I have a battery charger.
Weiser tucked one of the chargers under his arm and held out his hand.
Absolutely not.
Tesla forced a smile at the newcomer. Sorry, this is the security chief, and we're having a little disagreement. She gestured to the door. I want to go through here, and... Someone ran into the store with a charger held aloft in each hand. Is Tesla? I have a charger. Me too. From behind the counter, a server handed one across to Tesla. Sorry, I didn't recognize you before. Hey, is Tesla Crane still here? Weiser's hands were full, and there was a gaggle of teens between them. Bitter victory made her teeth hurt as she took the charger from the server and waved it at the security chief. Well, which of us is going to open this door? Scofflaw. 2 ounces rye, 3/4 ounce dry vermouth, 1/2 ounce lemon juice, 2/4 ounce grenadine. This is very tasty. I made one the other night.
1/4 ounce grenadine, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Sounds tasty. It has grenadine.
It is. Yes. It also makes me
that makes
laugh
it tastier.
The gin bar in Chicago.
That's just what I was thinking.
It's like, Scofflaw is a rye cocktail. I don't know why you're called... Pick that as the name for your gin bar.
Yep. Unless they have some gin variant.
Maybe so.
Okay, let's see here.
I think I said Portland and I meant Chicago, but you know.
I heard Chicago.
Oh, good. I must have fixed it before the words actually came out of my mouth, unlike when I'm narrating.
Yeah, it's either that or my brain fixed it for you because I knew exactly what you're talking about. All right, quarter ounce grenadine.
Yes.
Here we go with the 1/4 ounce.
1/2 ounce lemon juice.
1/4 ounce grenadine - orange bitters. Shake all ingredients over ice for 15 seconds. Strain into coupe. Weiser's teeth were grinding so loudly as they walked through the service corridor that Tesla was fairly certain he was going to break a molar. If Fantine had still been audible on the handy, her assessment of Weiser's actions would not have improved his mood. Through a lawsuit so long and dry that the desiccation will dehydrate the overgrown toadstool you reason with. She glanced to the side. Tesla, if you haven't already, move me to your HUD. I have an update. Already did. Tesla's cane made a pock sound with each step on the unadorned service floor. Weiser was walking faster than Tesla.
Weiser, here we go. Oh, we got to go back and get one thing.
Okay.
You said dash as opposed to 1 dash.
Thank you.
Right at the beginning there. Let's just get 1 dash orange bitters. Where is it? There it is. That's all I need.
1/4 ounce grenadine.
1 dash orange bitters.
One more time. It just felt a little crunchy
Okay.
in the throat there.
ounce grenadine.
1 dash orange bitters.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Did I hear a cat in the background, perchance? A
I don't
clicking
think
sound right
so.
after that?
No.
Maybe it was the clicking of needles. Okay. Tesla's cane made a pock sound with each step on the underdorn service floor. Starting with Wiser was walking faster. Here we go.
Orange service floor.
Actually, they've just raised a good point, and I'd like to cut the word still from if Fantine had still been audible on the handy. And switch handy to handheld.
Okay.
So, sorry.
Let's see here. All right. If Fantine had still been audible, here we go.
Going to break a molar.
If Fantine had been audible on the handheld.
Thank you. Great. Moving on. After Underdorn service floor. Go.
Orange service floor.
Wiser was walking faster than Tesla could comfortably go, and as much as she wanted to hurry, she also didn't want to faceplant. And thank you for, if I'm not on your HUD by now, you have no one to blame but yourself. Fantine's face loomed closer to the camera. What in the name of St. John's flaming dildo were you thinking? Are you thinking? This is my favorite.
Here we go.
Closer to the camera.
What in the name of St. John's flaming dildo are you thinking? If you had actually used that battery charger, it would have been completely justified in locking you up as a fire hazard. Tesla huffed. I'm not an amateur. And honestly, I should probably have let him because you'd be safer than roaming around after murderers. Fantine settled back in her chair. The only reason I'm not is because of Gimlet. If one hair is harmed on the most perfect of dogs, I am training an apprentice who can continue the lawsuits after my death of an old, bitter age. Ahead of Tesla, Wiser turned to the right. The stairs to the yoga studio were to the left. She shook her head at his back and turned left. Ahead, behind, beside, somewhere.
Let's see here. Of old, let's see here. You added an and. Can we take it from after my death of old bitter age?
Thank you.
Just after death.
Yes.
And then keep going from there, please.
Yes.
After my death.
Of old, bitter age. Ahead of Tesla, Wiser turned to the right. The stairs to the yoga studio were to the left. She shook her head at his back and turned left. Behind her, Wiser said,
Hey, where are you going? Why am I suddenly British? I don't know. Oh, dear God, someone help me. They're probably liberals.
You want to do the hay again, or are we good with the hay?
Yes. No, it was all, I don't know what happened with my voice. Oh, Wiser.
Okay, here we go with the hay.
Wiser said,
Hey.
Oh, hang on. Sorry. Key phrase again.
We're from way over there. There's this part of Tennessee where the accent sounds like you're talking from way over there. Way over there. Hey. Okay. Hey. 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 I don't know what's happening. I'll just do it. It'll be fine. It'll be golden.
Here we go.
Weiser said,
Hey, where are you going?
It seems to me that Ori and Ewan would be trying to get back to their cabin, which is probably on the Terran level, and the closest stairs are the other way.
I'm escorting you to your cabin.
And I'm looking for my spouse. Tesla turned her back on him and walked to the stairs. It won't take me a minute. It won't take a minute for me to look.
It won't take. Here we go.
to the stairs.
It won't take a minute for me to look. In the HUD, Fantine cracked her knuckles.
Moving on. I have reports of the on.
After moving on, here we go.
Moving on.
I have reports on the various things that you've asked me to research for you, as if you didn't have an office of assistants.
My assistants are clever, but none of them have the clout you do. You requested a list of people who have access.
You requested. Here we go.
Have the clout you do.
You requested a list of people who have access to your cabin, as well as a list of people who had access to Holden's. That's coming your way via encrypted quad lock with your 8th passcode to decrypt. I won't detail.
I won't.
Code to decrypt.
I won't detail what I had to do to come up with these lists, but I will tell you that your next bill will not be cheap. Wow, nice fan club you're gathering there. Behind her, Weiser's sigh was deeply dramatic, but his footsteps joined hers, and he caught up as they got to the entrance to the stairwell.
We'll step into the stairwell, and if there are no signs of them, then we're going to turn around and go back to your cabin.
You're never cheap. Sorry, punctuation again.
Gotcha. You ready?
No, sorry, my computer's just being
okay.
super slow.
Gotcha. Wasn't sure whether. Yep.
Mm-mm. Weird. It's almost as if I'm asking it to do some other processor-intensive task. I can't imagine what that would be, though.
No idea.
Oh, come on. Seriously? Come on. I just want to underline this stuff. Why are you not letting me? Thank you. Okay.
Okay. Picking up with you're never cheap and always worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Back to your cabin.
You're never cheap and always worth it, she subvocalized to Fantine. Weiser raised his brows.
Do we understand each other?
Absolutely. Tesla nodded to the door to the stairs. After you. In her HUD, Fantine said, Back to business. Even though you didn't ask me to cross-reference them, I did so for my own amusement. They divide the ship into zones, and in each zone there are a ton of potentials. But there are 11 people with cross-zone access permissions.
Okay.
Let's see here. All right, after permissions.
Okay.
Access permissions.
Weiser pulled the door open. Voices echoed up the stairs. Down. Only want to understand. Shall. He sounded calm and reasonable.
Move. I don't want to hurt you.
Ori. His voice sounded agitated. Weiser held out his arm to block Tesla. His face had suddenly gone serious, and he caught the door with his foot before...
Caught the door. His face had suddenly gone serious. Here we go.
His arm to block Tesla.
His face had suddenly gone serious, and he caught the door with his foot before it could swing back closed again. With his other hand, he raised a finger to his lips to urge silence. Competing for Tesla's attention, Fantine continued to talk about things 13 minutes in the past. Clever to ask them to bring charges, but again...
Clever. Here we go.
Minutes in the past.
Clever to ask them to bring charges, but again, I tell you that if you actually use one... people with potential... Sorry.
After you use one, that's right.
Yes.
Here we go.
Actually use one.
I actually want to do a slightly different read on that, so the trailing off, I get the transition to the next sentence is just not right.
Okay.
Okay.
But again, we'll take it from but again.
Mm-hmm. But again.
There we go. But again.
Ask them to bring charges.
But again, I tell you that if you actually use one... people with potential access to your cabins, which is not the same as verifiably accessing it. 1. Captain Valdesar daughter, she, her. There's no need for anything like that. Come on. There's just some things I'm curious about and thought you might know the answer. Questions can't... Whoa! Hey now. 2. The co-pilot. Cristobono, he, him.
Hey,
Bob's voice joined Shal's.
you're scaring the kid. That's wrong for Bob.
Bob's voice. Here we go.
I've got it, Bob's voice. I
Hey.
just did it wrong. Oh, the hey
Oops.
also I need
Sorry,
to
no,
do.
that was
Sorry.
that. Yeah. No, that's me. Here we go.
Oh, he, him.
Hey,
Bob's voice joined Shal's.
you're scaring the kid.
3. The chief operation...
3. Here we go.
Scaring the kid.
3. The chief operations officer. Shaya Masri Karuana. That sounds reasonable.
Shia.
Totally plausible.
Let's do Shire. Let's do the name.
Okay.
Here we go.
Operations officer.
Shaya Masri Karuana. They, them. Rising on his toes, Weiser moved into the stairwell with more stairwell.
Rising after toes.
Rising on his toes.
Weiser moved into the stairwell with more grace than she expected, and hesitated. He turned back and beckoned her through, then eased the door closed.
I'm scaring them. What about the person who chased us in here? Why are you focused on me instead of the fact that this person is harassing us?
4. Our friend Chief Weiser. Leaning down, their friend Chief Weiser whispered,
I have a body cam, but if he's using a spoofer, I want a witness. Follow me down, but for the love of God, stay a flight behind me, because I don't want your lawyers suing me for endangerment.
But for the love of God, you added a me after behind, so just behind.
Okay.
Here we go.
Follow me down.
But for the love of God, stay a flight behind... Sorry, just volume was too big.
Okay. I feel like he's gotten a little higher than he was before.
Yeah, you...
Just the pitch, slightly
Yep.
higher.
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Follow me down.
But for the love of God, stay a flight behind because I don't want your lawyer suing me for endangerment.
5. Maria Piper, security. Weiser started down the stairs without waiting for her. 6. Bob Cook, security. Bob, who was supposed to be guarding Halden, said,
I don't make judgments. You're making a judgment now when you're stopping us from going to our cabin.
Tesla stood at the top of the stairs and transferred her cane so she could grab the banister with her other hand. Under normal gravity conditions, stairs would have been difficult. On a ship like this, stairs were the unholy love child of Dolly and Escher. Each stair tilted by a degree so that as you descended the centrifugal gravity well, down was always at the right point. 7 and 8. The senior medical staff, which includes our deceased Ruth Fish and her able assistant, Candice Starr. She, her. And really a missed opportunity for a career in porn or a role in a Christmas pageant. So close sometimes. Fontaine squinted at the camera. Looks like he's letting you through, so no need for me to yell at that open dunghole canker blossom. I think that my accent was actually wrong for Candy Star.
Okay.
Candy.
Let's get Candy Star. Here we go.
The able assistant.
Candy Star. She, her. And really missed opportunity.
Good.
Candy Star's name came about. I had Candy just, I don't know, it just, one of those things that just hit the page. And then I was like, oh, I need a surname, and hit the random name generator. And Star came up, and I looked at it. It was like, ooh, no, that sounds like a porn name. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's just do it.
Let's see
It's a kind of cruel thing that parents do to their children.
And we got to take it right after that, actually, and really, let's see here. And really, you added an A. So you said, and really,
adding an A because.
Oh, good.
And really missed opportunity because.
Right. I like the A. So
there.
really, A missed opportunity. Excellent.
Yes. But thank you.
No, I caught it from someone else. Rachel noticed it.
No, yeah. Yeah.
When you're ready, we'll take it after yell at that. Starting with.
Sorry, Alessandra. No one swears like Fontaine. No one scares like Fontaine. No one skewers you with her strong glares like Fontaine.
That's awesome, Alessandra. Yep. Let's. I don't say this every day. Let's pick it up with open dunghole canker blossom.
Okay, let's do it. You're not the one who has to not laugh.
I know. I shouldn't have done it. Sorry. Very serious.
I wrote it.
Very serious.
My fault.
Here we go.
Professionals.
For me to yell at that.
Open dunghole canker blossom. This time. Weiser was out of sight already. Below them, Bob said,
You aren't supposed to be in the stairwell.
But neat trick with the door. Shal's voice was affable and breezy. How'd you do that? I mean, I thought you had to be staff to go through the staff doors. Tesla tried to pick up the pace, tensing with every motion. She had the DBPS turned so high she could barely feel her feet touch the stairs and had to watch every step. 9. Melissa Mead, she, her, head of maintenance. Hey, if you don't want to talk to me, why don't you go with Bob? On the landing, she peered over the edge of the stairs, trying to catch a glimpse of Shal. The twisting nature of the stairs meant that one level below her was shifted just enough to the side that she had a clear view. Halfway between her and Shal, Weiser was hanging back on the landing below her, peering down the next flight of stairs. 10. Larry Holden, he, him, head of housekeeping. Below Weiser, Shal was standing in a boxing stance, favoring his side but blocking the pathway up the stairs. Ori stood, with Ewan behind him, in a corner of the landing, while Bob was blocking them from below. 11, and for no reason.
11.
Fix that punctuation thing. Okay.
So 11, we're picking it up.
Blocking them from below.
Sorry, I totally went to look to see what you were laughing at.
It's just the same thing we were laughing at the very beginning.
Okay, great.
Let's pick. Well, Alessandra just quoted what we had said at the very beginning of the punch.
Yes, yes.
Just chuckled anew. Here we go.
Blocking them from below.
Got it. Sorry. It just was in the wrong spot on the page.
It's okay. Here we go.
Blocking them from below.
11, and Fantine is British, and I should do that with my accent.
Here we go.
Blocking them from below.
11, and for no reason that makes any sense to me. Niall Silva, he, him, magician. Tesla's left knee buckled. No warning. I'm pausing for water.
Okay.
Just so you know where you were punching, I was not clearly hearing the blah of blocking, and so I just heard ucking them from below.
The dangers of a short punch time.
Say, all right. Don't think I have that on the page, but okay, I didn't realize that was just implied sex. Nope.
That's why you're a professional.
Uh-huh. I mean, it did take me 3 times. I overheard at an orgy. That line comes from Alessandra, by the way.
Oh, yeah? That's a good one.
Yeah, it really was. Okay, buckled.
All right, after left knee buckled, here we go.
Uh-huh.
Left knee buckled.
No warning. It just went out from under her. Flailing, she clutched the rail and managed to control the fall. Mostly control it. She swung into the rail and wound up half-kneeling on the landing. And somehow, she had managed to set her handy to project. Fantine's voice filled the stairwell. Her face splashed on the wall and the undersides of the stairs above. That's it for the...
Let's see here. So you, I know we've talked about handy versus handheld before. Is that a thing here?
It's fine. As soon as I realized that I had actually been using them interchangeably, I became totally okay with it.
Excellent. Okay, stairs above. That's it for who could have gotten into the cabins. Here we go.
The stairs above.
That's it for who could have gotten into the cabins.
Sorry, one thing. Her face splashed onto the wall and the underside. You said undersides.
Okay.
That's my bad.
Got it. Thank you.
So right before that, please. Here we go.
Filled the stairwell.
Her face splashed on the wall and the underside of the stairs above. That's it for who could have gotten into the cabins. Now. Below her, Fantine's voice broke the impasse. Impasse?
I've always heard it as impasse.
Impasse, yeah, that's what I thought. Impasse, okay.
I can look it up if we're not sure.
I believe you on impasse. That's what
impasse.
Yeah. Okay. Great, thank you.
So after now, below her, here we go.
Now.
Below her, Fantine's voice broke the impasse, and the sound of tussling broke out on the stairs. Grunting and flesh striking flesh, and the heavy sound of a body hitting something solid. Any attempt at stealth botched. Weiser bowled down the stairs.
Stand down, all of you!
Having said that, a sufficiently motivated person could bribe servers in each zone, which could give them access to any cabin. So get your hotshot detective spouse to look at the full list and see what he comes up with. Shaking, Tesla dragged in a breath. Nothing hurt. The DBPS...
After nothing hurt.
Okay.
Let's do nothing hurt. It just sounded a little... Here we go.
Dragged in a breath.
Nothing hurt. The DBPS settings were so high that nothing could hurt. So she had no way of knowing if she'd done more damage. Shal charged up the stairs to her.
Tesla, are you all...
There's no all. I cut down.
Tesla, are you? Here we go.
Yes.
Stairs to her.
Tesla, are you...
I slipped. She held out her hand. A little help? Next on the list of things you asked about are the passengers in the yoga class. Leave my dad alone!
Kid, step back!
Weiser's voice was harsh. Your mystery man does, in fact, have a passenger account, which is locked down the way yours is, with an added religious exclusions.
Which is locked down the way yours was.
Okay.
Right there.
The passenger account.
Which is locked down the way yours was, with an added religious exclusions clause relating to photos of him and his kid. I have not yet cracked it, so that's going to have to come from the tickle-brained ship authorities. I've put in a request to Lee. Overhead, Fantine sneered with all the teeth of the shark she was. Tesla watched Ori relax with apparent relief that Fantine hadn't found a photo, even as Weiser held him against the wall with his arm twisted up behind him. Ori had made it impossible to find photos of himself, but she knew where there was a photo of Ewan. Aloud, so they could hear her, she said, Fantine, go through the archives for the crane robotics competition from 3 years ago. Ewan was on the Utah team that entered with a blue polydactyl octopoid robot. With internal apologies, she ended the call with Fantine so that it wasn't a distraction and waited to see what would happen next. Ori cranked his head around to look at Ewan. Under the weight of that glare, they shifted from one leg to another. Pops, I can explain...
Don't.
Ori's voice was low and patient.
Ewan, I need you to be quiet.
But Pops...
Hourglass.
His voice broke on the word.
Please, kid.
Ewan hesitated and then nodded, brows together and serious. Their face closed up and they stood with arms wrapped tightly around their chest, shoulders hunched. It was weird and very uncomfortable to watch. Tesla glanced at Shal, who was rubbing his thumb against the side of his finger and concentrating on the two of them. Right. The fact that they'd gone to the robotics competition, clearly without permission, was a weakness she could exploit. But she was on the landing above them, and even if there wasn't a potential spoofer, there was no way she was going to make it down to the small group. She carefully lowered herself to sit on the steps and sent the pic of the blue suckerfook. Suckerfook? Fun times. Suckerfoot.
It is if you have a sucker fuck. Sucker folk.
Wee-hee!
Let's see here.
Wow.
All right, let's go back and get a couple things. There's a click on the word Lee, which I can probably get myself. So we're on the previous page. I put in a request to Lee. I can get that one. And then after that is, but she knew that where there was a picture of Ewan, like you said, photo.
Okay. Yes,
It
got it.
is, yeah. Let me get it myself. But she knew where there was a picture of Ewan. Here we go.
Okay.
Find photos of himself.
But she knew where there was a picture of Ewan.
And then another paragraph down. With internal apologies, she ended the call Fontaine so that it wasn't a distraction and watched to see what would happen next. I think you said something slightly different. Let me find it.
Okay.
I think you said waited.
Okay.
So we just need to watch to see what happened next. Here we go.
Wasn't a distraction.
And watched to see what would happen next.
Thank you. Great. So I don't know if people can see the little yellow markers that I put down while we're rolling here, but you can see if it's of interest to you, you can see whether I caught the same thing you caught by seeing whether I set a marker down with the matched word.
On the other hand,
So,
you can
take it-
read waveform and they cannot, probably.
Yes, that's true, but they can see, again, I don't know if they can see the screen as well, but I put a marker every time I hear something.
Yeah.
And I write down the thing that was missed so that if they were curious whether I heard the thing that they're telling me about, then they can see whether I heard it. or
I
not.
see.
And that way
Yeah, it may be too small for them.
they can see whether I found it already or whether it's something I haven't found. Let's see here. After steps. So we're back on the other page. All right. After she carefully let herself sit on the steps. So we're starting with and sent. Thanks for that. Here we go.
To sit on the steps.
And sent a pic of the blue sucker foot, which she'd taken while in the bathroom, to the projector. She pointed at it. That's a sucker foot from an octobot or an octopoid. Bob asked,
What's the difference between an octobot and an octopoid?
Sitting down next to Tesla, Shal said, They're both based on octopuses. Octopi? Octopodes. Ewan clapped.
Let's go back and get.
Shal's voice was just a little pitched high, a little.
Yeah. And then also, that's a sucker foot from an octobot or octopod. I think you said or an octopod.
Thank you.
So I actually can take it right after octobot.
Okay.
From an octobot.
Or octopoid. Bob asked,
What's the difference between an octobot and an octopoid?
Sitting down next to Tesla, Shal said, They're both based on octopuses. Octopi? Octopodes? Ewan clapped their hand over their mouth. Thanks. Anyway, an octopoid has 8 autonomous drivers. The kid stopped and stared at the floor. Semi-autonomous. Right. Shal nodded and winked at the kid. And an octobot.
And I would have thought it was octopods, but it's octopoids or octopodes rather.
I thought it was octopode.
You wouldn't. It could be. I'm about to learn something, which is a pretty common occurrence. So that's a good thing. Let's see here.
Yes.
Let's see here. What? It says octopod, but I feel like this is a different. We're not talking about the animal.
We are talking about the animal.
Are we? Okay, then it's octopod, I guess, if it's spelled that way, unless we're accounting for it being different in the future.
No.
If you want to add an E, then I would imagine the octopodes, right?
Yeah, no, this falls into the category of something that this doesn't matter. I'm going to say octopods.
Okay. You're going to say octopods, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, let's punch it.
Punch it, baby.
Here we go.
Octopi.
Octopods.
Thank you. There was a question Alessandra was wondering where the markers are. If you look at the top part of my screen, there's a little yellow line you can see on the screen right now. One says or octopoid and the other says podes with a question mark. Those are the markers. I just erased one and now I'm erasing the other one because we fixed them. Sean nodded and winked at the kid.
Yeah, I don't see those.
Oh, interesting. Well, we can look at it at a break.
Yeah.
Theoretically, they should be at the very top.
I wonder if
after
I
winked
have...
at the kid.
Yeah, we'll look later, yes.
Yeah, we'll look later. It's fine.
But wait, there's a train.
Curses. Well, if you can't see it right at the very top, there's a yellow line that extends all the way down across the tracks, wherever there's a marker. Can you see that? I just made one while we're waiting for the train.
Let me look myself.
Suppose I could also
try
to do that.
I do not see one.
Oh, you know what? It's probably just it's too
small. Here, you know what we can do while we're waiting for the train? Which I'm going to regret any moment now.
What's that?
Give me just a second.
Oh, I didn't realize you could hear the background. That's so funny. I was like, "What's the sound of that siren?" And that's my feed.
Yes, that is
Lucky
correct.
you. Let's see what I got my noise reduction on my talkback.
Look, I've just made your screen big.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they can see what you're doing while we are waiting on train.
Gotcha. Let's see. We'll go live and see what everyone else is seeing.
I still don't see a yellow line of markers.
Oh yeah, I see it now. It says location 237 right at the top there. It's right where the cursor's blinking.
Oh yeah, no, it's just really tiny for me.
It's just tiny. Yeah. That's why people probably can't see it. It's all good. I didn't know
Is the train
how
gone
obvious
enough?
it was. Yep, it's gone.
Okay.
So, after winked at the kid.
Oh, sorry, hang on. I just clicked on the wrong thing trying to get back to my document. Y'all came very close to looking at a crochet pattern.
So pick it up with. And an Octobot has a central processor.
Yeah, although now I'm like, wait, was it the Octopoid that has the central processor? No, Octobot is the central one. Octopoid has the semi-autonomous ones. Right. Got it.
Okay. All right. Here we go. And an Octobot has a central processor, right?
and winked at the kid.
And an Octobot has a central processor, right? Ori was glaring at his child, but it wasn't quite enough to keep Ewan's small nod constrained. This was a child who loved robots. Tesla couldn't believe that Ewan would be involved in any of the deaths, but she wouldn't put it past Ori at this point to use his kid's robot. She watched Ewan, but directed her words to Weiser. The robot that Ewan entered in the competition was also blue. That's not mine.
Ewan.
Yeah, but Pop's like, I don't have a robot and...
I'm not mad about the robot.
Ori breathed in slowly, as if he were, in fact, very upset about the robot and trying not to yell.
We've talked about this, and both of us need to stay quiet, okay? When the government comes for you, they'll lie and cheat and use everything we say. I shouldn't be talking now, but I need you to remember the drill. Please. For me?
Ewan's eyes were huge, but they nodded and looked at the floor. Still pressed against the wall by Weiser, Ori scraped his head back around.
I'd like to contact my lawyer. Sure. I've never wanted to get between a customer and their legal counsel. Go right ahead.
Weiser cranked Ori's arm a little higher.
We'll walk to the brig now, and on the way there, you can think about letting me know who you were working with.
On the arm that Weiser had pinned, Ori wore a standard key fob band. Tesla frowned, remembering him going through the door in the ice cream shop. Shal, when Ori went through the door, did he use his key fob? Her spouse slowly nodded, eyes narrowing as he thought. He did. What security clearance do you need to do that? Bob grumbled from where he blocked the stairs with his wall of body.
Anyone on staff could go through, but he's not on staff.
So why was he able to open the door? Oops, sorry. That would be Tesla speaking.
Mm-hmm. Let's get two things. Right at the top of the page, when the government comes to you, they'll lie and cheat and use everything we say.
Okay.
I just need the lie and cheat and use everything we say. There's a dropout on that.
Okay.
Here we go.
Government comes for you.
They'll lie and cheat and use everything we say.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then security. What security clearance do you need to do that? Shal's line security was just a little wobbly. Just punch that.
Shells. Okay, yes.
Okay.
He did.
What security clearance do you need to do that? Bob grumbled. Mm-hmm.
I got it.
Okay, thanks.
Why was he able to open the door with Tesla? Here we go.
Not on staff.
Sorry, got it.
Sorry, here we go.
Not on staff.
So, why was he able to open the door? Good question. Shal kissed her on the cheek. Let me add a follow-up. Whose identity is he using? Weiser sighed and tightened his mouth as if he really did not want to admit that they'd asked a good question.
Let's find out.
Lawyer. Ori pressed his forehead against the wall.
Bob? Logs.
The wall of Bob opened his handheld and scrolled through a series of screens.
Says here that Niall Silver accessed the door.
Kir Royale. 5 ounces sparkling wine. ½ ounce creme de cassis. Creme? Yep.
That was good, though.
Great.
Here we go.
This is sparkling wine.
½ ounce creme de cassis. 1 twist lemon. Pour creme de cassis into a champagne flute. Why was that hard?
So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Untwist lemon.
Pour creme de cassis into a champagne flute, top with sparkling wine, garnish with twist of lemon. The closer they got to the theater, the more Tesla was sweating. It wasn't just because they had hurried to beat Weiser there. He and Bob had needed to take Ori and Ewan to the brig, and that bought them time to get to the theater before the chief messed up the scene for Shao. I almost asked if I could take a 5-minute break just because I've been in the chair for a long time, and then I thought, no, I'm fine. And actually, no, I should take if I can, I would like to just because.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, great. Awesome. I will let you all listen to some light jazz back in 5.
Yep, sounds good.
Okay. Alrighty.
Okay. After messed up the scene for Shao.
Messed up the scene for Shao.
Oh no, we got to take it from.
Oh yeah, no, because that's where I bobbled.
Right, and that bought them time. Is where we're taking it from.
Okay.
Here we go. I'm gonna do a little more pre-roll. Break.
Thank
The
you.
more Tesla was sweating. It wasn't just because they had hurried to beat Weiser there. He and Bob had needed to take Ori and Ewan to the brig.
And that bought them time to get to the theater before the chief messed up the scene for Shao. For the discomfort that came from walking faster than she comfortably could, she just gritted her teeth and bore down on her cane, letting the limp be more obvious than she liked. For the sights and sounds that might serve as a trigger again. She breathed with conscious deliberation. She imagined golden sunlight as a liquid filling her from above. What was here in reality? 5 things she saw. Dim lobby, velvet curtains, tiered stairs leading down and up to different gravity wells. Annie, beaming with delight, spotlit on a dark stage. Stars. Niall Silver's warm voice filled.
Niles. Alessandra had a question for you. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Let me take a look. They may have to refresh. But I don't know. I see your question, and I don't know the answer.
I would try. Yeah, I'd try refreshing or going to opening a new tab and going to the same thing. I think that's what worked for me
Yeah.
when I subscribed. All right, Niles Silver's warm voice. Here we go.
Stars.
Niall Silver's warm voice filled the theater. Now I'll ask my charming volunteer to look inside the box and tell the audience if you see anything out of the ordinary. The smell of cordite in the air. Tesla swallowed. She was on the Lindgren in a theater, and they were waiting to talk to Niall Silver. At the entrance to the box seats, Shal slipped his hand into hers. Maria said she was going to talk to Niall after dropping off Emmanuel, so I'm guessing she'll be backstage if she's here. Do you want to wait outside while I look for her? Tesla shook her head and dialed the DBPS down so the bright cords in her back could serve as a focus. The pain was familiar and came with the slight relief that she hadn't done any new damage. Shal's hand was soft and warm in hers. She pressed her other hand against the cool silver rail.
She pressed her other hand. There we go.
Warm in hers.
She pressed her other hand against the cool silver rail surrounding the box seats, and sweat slicked the surface. Tesla's chest was tight. Gimlet would have had Tesla outside by now. She wet her lips. Neither of us is going anywhere solo, and I'm embarrassed for you that you suggested it. Teasing him was better than admitting that she was afraid they'd shoot off Pyro again. Annie and Jalna had said it was at the beginning of the show, and then... when? Intermission? They were coming up on that soon, according to the ship's timetable. Sounding thrilled, Annie's amplified voice answered Niall. I don't see a darn thing except a box. Oh, really? The magician chuckled as if he had a secret that he could not wait to share. Watch. That sounded like Shal.
There we go.
Wait to share.
Watch. With a grin as forced as her own, Shal ran his hand down her back as if trying to ground her. "Damn it. I can't argue with you when you're being sensible." She kissed him on the cheek in thanks. Sensible or not, she didn't trust herself to not react badly if the pyro went off again. Head down, she walked the narrow blue carpeted aisle to the backstage entrance that Annie had taken her through when she'd panicked the first time. The first time. As she reached the door. The first time. As she reached the door, Shal stepped ahead of her to open it, which he did only on cane days.
Same punch.
It's the first time. Mm-hmm. Shal stepped ahead of her to open it, which he did only on cane days. Tesla grimaced, pausing to wait. And wait. Pursing his lips, he shook his head. They were so close to the stage now, and he mouthed, "Locked." How had Annie gotten her through it before? She had been fairly out of it, but it seemed like they had simply walked backstage. Tesla turned so she wasn't facing the show. It was fine. Pyro was a contained effect and not related to what had happened to her. It was a set of tubes containing a pyrotechnic compound, probably nitrocellulose, and was highly controlled. The stage door opened and Shal jumped to catch it. Tesla looked up as she made room.
Tesla looked up.
Jumped to catch it. Tesla looked up as she made room for the... Jumped to catch it. Tesla looked up as she made room for the person to exit, and her sidestep stuttered as Jalna emerged from the backstage door, pausing for more water.
Okay. Looks like I missed something. 1 second. They were close to the stage now. Yeah. We added a so, I guess.
Yep, I see it. Hey, LAC folks who are watching and can't comment, and I'm sorry about that. I don't know why you can't. Go to the spoilers channel in the Lady Astronaut Club, and I have just opened a thread there. So you can ask me, you can comment there, which is not the same thing as being in the with everyone else, but at least if something comes up, you have an avenue to get to me.
They were close to the stage. They were close to the stage now. Is the phrase I need. Thank you, Rachel. Here we go.
Hang on, I'm still looking for it. He shook.
Okay, sorry.
Got it.
2-9. Okay.
He shook his head. They were close to the stage now, and he mouthed, "Locked."
Thank you. Great. Picking it back up. Let's do the Tesla looked up because sidestep stuttered was still a little
stuttery.
Yep.
I was just, like
Tesla.
Trying to turn it into an onomatopoeia thing.
Right, exactly. I was about to say. All right, so let's do Tesla looked up. Here we go.
Jumped to catch it. Tesla looked up as she made room for the person to exit, and her sidestep stuttered as Jalna emerged from the backstage door. The roboticist's eyes widened at the sight of them. For a moment, Jalna opened her mouth as if to speak, but her gaze went past Tesla to the stage. The theater was silent, as if everyone were holding their breath watching the show. With a nod, Jalna hurried up the aisle toward the yacht club box seats. Shal watched her go, brows raised. He took a step in that direction and then stopped, shaking his head. He beckoned for Tesla to step through the door. The plain, unadorned walls of the service corridor backstage wrapped around Tesla like a shield. She wiped her hand over her face as Shal eased the door shut behind them. She swallowed, trying to work moisture back into her mouth. So, does everyone have some sort of security but us? I was wondering the same thing. She was friendly with Niall Silver, wasn't she? He stared at the door as if it would have some answers. Let's see if we can find Maria. There was no sign of Gimlet. Maria Piper, on the other hand, was watching Niall Silver from the wings. Shal squeezed Tesla's hand. Be right back. Quietly, he approached Piper, swinging as wide as he could between the heavy...
Let's go back and get... so does everyone have some sort of security clearance but us? So for some reason I didn't hear the word clearance.
Okay. That's how secure it is.
So does everybody have some sort of security clearance but us? Here we go.
Okay.
So,
Does everyone have some sort of security clearance but us?
Here we go. Quietly he approached Piper. Here we go.
be right back.
Quietly, he approached Piper, swinging as wide as he could between the heavy black curtains. She turned, face silhouetted against the lights of the stage as Shal held out his hand. The security officer looked down at it for a moment before placing her own in what might be a businesslike handshake. Tesla waited, fiddling with the handle on her cane as Shal used the skin-to-skin contact to have a silent conversation with the officer. On stage, Niall guided Annie into a bow. Thank you again to my charming volunteer. Please give it up for Annie! As the music rose, Tesla heard the same crescendo that had preceded the pyro from the opening. She bolted for the hall, pressing her back against the wall with her eyes closed. Her cane clattered to the ground as she pressed her fingers into her ears. I'm safe. She was holding her breath. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Out, 2, 3, 4. I'm on the Lindgren. Beyond the muffling of her fingers, a distant whoomph. In, 2, 3, 4. The smell of cordite curled around her nostrils. Hold. Tesla. Sorry, I just want to do a slightly different tone of his voice.
Okay. 1 minute. I gotta get one thing. There it is. Conversation. With it. Okay. After hold. Here we go.
Hold.
Tesla. Shal's voice was low and directly in front of her. You're on the Lindgren. I'm fine. She snapped her eyes open. Swallowing, she wet her lips and gestured to the stage. I knew that was coming, and I'm fine. He held her cane in one hand and held the other out as if he might need to catch her. Maria Piper stood a little down the hall, studying Tesla with a knowing wariness. She waved to the door to Niall's dressing room. When you're ready. Now. Tesla took the cane from Shal, brushing his skin as she did. Thank you. I really am okay. Okay. He nodded, still watching her more closely.
He nodded. Here we go.
okay.
He nodded, still watching her more closely than strictly necessary, but didn't argue or push even though he had to know that she was lying. She was very much not okay. He let her have that secret and lie, and just walked with her to the dressing room.
Great. I've briefed Maria on our findings at the bathroom. Y'all have been busy.
In the dressing room, Piper settled on a chair across from the door. She had pulled out 2 others from the mirrored tables lining the dingy room. Well, I'd hate to waste any of our vacation. Tesla sat, but Shao leaned next to her against one of the tables. She wanted to tell him that she didn't need a nursemaid, but that would involve having a longer conversation that she did not want to have with Piper in the room. Snorting, Piper leaned back in the chair and glared at the ceiling as if it had personally offended her.
So the chief thinks sloot makers did it now?
Shao spread his hands.
I will not presume to guess.
The door to the dressing room opened.
McFloppy needs his nails trimmed. He almost tore my...
Oh! Niall Silvers stopped in the door to the dressing room.
Well, hello. We meet again.
Shao pushed away from the dressing table he'd been leaning against.
I don't want to take up a lot of your time, but just had a couple of questions for you.
Niall's eyes stayed pointed at Shao as he turned to face Maria Piper.
What's going on?
She answered,
You can wait for Chief Weiser to come, if you want.
Or you can talk to us. Tesla sat with her hands resting on the handle of her cane. We're nicer and not official.
Maria is.
Niall walked to the dressing table and sat down.
Sure.
Shao nodded, crossing his arms over his chest as he watched Niall in the mirror.
I just wanted to know how you knew Ori Slootmakers.
He paused with a small sponge in his hand.
Who? Bald white guy.
Oops, sorry.
2 things. Got to go back and get Flopsy, Mix Flopsy. I think we said Mix Floppy.
Oh, yeah.
Through almost tore my. All right, you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Dressing room opened.
McFloppy needs his nails trimmed. He almost tore my... Oh.
Sorry, Flopsy.
Oh, Flopsy. I keep saying floppy.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever.
Here we go.
Dressing room opened.
McFlopsy needs his nails trimmed. He almost tore my... Oh.
Thank you. All right. So then Maria is... So Maria is sounded a little bit like Shao to me. Take a listen and see if you feel that way.
Maria is.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, let's just get that Maria is, please.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go.
They're not official.
Maria is.
Moving on. After who? So starting with bald white guy.
Who?
Bald white guy, about Shao's height, carrying a little padding, not extra. About Shao's height. Carrying a little padding around the waist. He was in the yoga class you took us up to.
Oh, yes.
Niall nodded and dabbed the sponge across his forehead, reapplying a layer of makeup.
Right. Has a cute kid. He wanted me to teach them a trip.
He wanted. Here we go.
Has a cute kid.
He wanted me to teach them magic, so I taught them Wilson's Picnic. It's a card trick. But they weren't very good at it, because it takes practice, for crying out. The door opened, and Weiser walked into the room.
Hey, Niall, I've got a...
He saw Piper and did a double take, his glower deepening as he spotted Tesla and Shal.
Piper, you want to tell me what these passengers are doing in a restricted area?
You and I have the same question. Piper kept her arms folded across her chest and shrugged. I was just here to talk to Niall when they showed up. The chief put his hands on his hips, looking at them, then pulled his handheld from his belt and unscrolled it.
Fascinating. The logs show that Niall used his security code to come backstage here while he was on stage. So maybe it wasn't Sloot Makers using...
So maybe it wasn't. Let me check two things.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, we got that one. And they weren't very good at it. You mentioned, but they weren't very good at it.
Okay.
Previous page. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the bottom. And they weren't very good at it. There we go.
It's a card trick.
And they weren't very good at it.
Thank you.
Wilson's Picnic is a real card trick, actually, that you can go and learn on your own, should you choose to.
The card trick is real, you say?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. After on stage, so maybe it wasn't Sloot Makers. Here we go.
Was on stage. So maybe it wasn't Sloot Makers using his code at the...
They just all deflate slowly.
So this fan got turned off.
Yeah. It's like one of those
Exactly.
those things at the
That's exactly what I was. Yeah.
Oh, it is close to time to stop. I'm so punchy.
Yeah, me too. All right.
Fortunately, there's no shortage of dialogue in this scene.
It's true. It's true.
But wait, more people are coming into the room because I'm like, let's write a farce.
All right. So after a while, he was. All right. So after he was on stage, so maybe it wasn't.
Okay.
Was on stage. So maybe it wasn't Sloot Makers using his code at the Snow Queen.
Niall flinched, dropping the sponge on the ground. Excuse me, what?
You heard me.
Niall glanced at Shal. Is that why you were asking me about Ori's Sloot Makers?
You know him.
Weiser stalked into the room, rolling the handheld back up. Yes, because they just asked me about him. Niall bent down and snatched the sponge from the ground. Floor. The flat place below him.
Now bed down. Here we go.
Asked me about him.
Niall bent down and snatched the sponge from the floor. We talked about magic for his kid. That's it. I don't know anything about the... Again, the door opened. Oh, for crying out loud, what? Yuki hesitated in the door, eyes widening at the number of people in the dressing room. Your 5-minute call. Thank you, 5 minutes. Niall sighed and spat the sponge. Set.
After thank you, 5 minutes. Here we go. Oh, sorry.
Hang on, I just want to see how close we are to the end of the chapter.
Okay. Not close. 6 pages. In
Yeah.
there.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay,
Okay. So
carry on.
Thank you, 5 minutes. After 5 minutes.
To 5 minutes.
Mhm. Niall sighed and set the sponge very carefully back on the table. Do you want to cancel the second act so we can establish that I barely know the guy you're asking me about? Or do you want to wait to ask me questions until afterward? Weiser stepped clear of the door and waved Niall to it.
Go on. I'm sorry that these people interrupted your break.
You're letting him go? Tesla tightened her grip on her cane. We know he's involved.
We know his ID is involved.
Weiser hitched his thumbs in his belt.
But Silver's worked for the company for multiple cruises, and no one has ever died before on them.
There was that one. Piper crossed her ankles and leaned back in her chair.
If we're being...
sorry.
There was that one. Here we go.
Died before on them.
There was that one. Her voice just went weird and high.
Here we go.
Died before on them.
There was that one. Piper crossed her ankles and leaned back in her chair. If we're being technical.
That was death by stupid and doesn't count.
Weiser gestured.
Wiser gestured.
And doesn't count.
That was death. One more time.
Here we go.
And doesn't count.
Weiser gestured to the magician.
Niall's fine. But to save you from getting your lawyer to insult and harass me, I'll threaten Niall and that'll solve everything. Niall, you know there's nowhere to run, right?
No kidding. Really? Wow. Stunned. Stunned I am that there's nowhere to hide on a spaceship between Earth and Mars and... Niall snapped his jaw shut, grimacing. He forced a smile. So, if you aren't canceling the second act, then I need to preset Mr. Flopsy. Mix Flopsy.
Let's see here. So. After second act. No, after a smile. So if you aren't canceling, yeah, when you're ready.
Okay.
Forced a smile.
So, if you aren't canceling the second act, then I need to preset Mix Flopsy.
The show must go on.
Weiser smiled and shrugged.
I'll have them out of your room by the time you're back.
Wonderful. If there's nothing else, this has been a very restful break. Tesla raised her hand. Sorry, just a question for Yuki. Why were you and Niall in the R-bar together? Yuki hesitated, looking to Niall. Dropping his head, Niall sighed and then turned to her. We're considering doing a scaled-down version of my show in the R-bar, and we're talking about sightlines. Anyone else have just one more question? Weiser shook his head and waved him off.
Break a leg.
Probably will. Silver checked his hair in the mirror and gave them a bow. Charmed. Weiser stood back to let him and Yuki exit the dressing room. It was as if he didn't care that these two people were almost certainly involved in the deaths on the ship, and if not that, then at least in some highly shady security breaches. As soon as the door was shut, Weiser wheeled on Tesla, towering over her.
Do not interfere with my investigation. I don't care who your family is or who your lawyer is. Do not get in my way.
She tightened her grip on her cane. Then do your job. You just let people we know are involved walk away.
That's right, I did. Piper, would you escort these two back to their cabin? Through the service corridors, for their own safety?
Tesla stamped her cane.
Tesla stamp. Wait, I can get one little dropout thing.
Okay.
Niall sighed, then turned to her. I just need that phrase. That's all I need. It's
Got it.
Previous page. Okay.
Dropping his head.
Niall sighed and then turned to her.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so through the service quarters for their own safety, Tesla stamped her cane. Here we go.
Their own safety.
Tesla stamped her cane on the ground. Oh, come on! You're totally ignoring Yuki and the fact that he checked with Niall before answering and then didn't answer. They're clearly collaborating.
You aren't part of my staff, and placating you every 5 minutes is really getting old.
Shao held out his hand to Tesla. Come on. No! Yuki also matches the person, the description.
No, here we go.
Come on.
No! Yuki also matches the description of the person you chased. The effort it took to not scream got greater.
The effort. Here we go.
Person you chased.
The effort it took to not scream got greater with each passing moment. Her skin crawled with the frustration trapped inside. Chief Weiser, you've got to see by now that Shao can't be a suspect, so why aren't you taking his report or mine seriously? Why are you brushing off the fact that Niall gave his security codes to Ori and... Shao rested his... someone. There was a resting of something.
Let me just get... let's see here. We're right at the general area, so should we look for, shall we do...
Any line that is good for you.
I'm thinking after calm down, because that'll be a nice,
Okay.
not calm line that'll be easier to punch in on.
Yeah.
So right after calm down, but we're going to pick this up in after the and. So shall rested.
Got it.
Here we go.
It's to Ori and...
Shao rested his hand on her upper arm. Tesla, let's go. She sidestepped so he couldn't ping her with reasons to calm down.
Great.
Great. Awesome. Yeah, I like Weiser as a the tap dance on the line between malice and stupidity. That seems that's a good way to describe that. Thank you. Well, thank you all for joining again. I especially appreciate those of you who have subscribed, because, again, numbers are very helpful, and it's a pleasure and a joy to have you along on this ride with me. So we'll be back tomorrow. Are we starting tomorrow? Is tomorrow a double day again, Andrew?
Tomorrow, I believe, is also double day. Yep.
Okay, great.
Up real quick. Yep.
Jeez, I see it on my calendar. Great.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Alrighty.
All right, everyone. See you tomorrow.